Soil is the answer to climate change. And this conversation with Finian Makepeace, co-founder of Kiss the Ground and renowned presenter, media creator, and thought leader in the regenerative agriculture and soil health space, we dive into what really inspired Finian to move into sharing and amplifying the possibility of regeneration through soil health, and how he discovered it and why it's so important that we make this a global conversation. Enjoy the conversation. I'm Natalie from Heart and Soul Magazine, and I'm really excited you're here with us. Hello, Finian.
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. I am tired, but I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, thanks. I have felt I've had a bit of a tired day today as well, off and on, so I deeply empathize. Yeah, thanks for making the time and carving out the space. It's very curious because you didn't start off in regeneration or being really connected to the soil. You're on a completely different path. Can you just take maybe a second to tell me about that, or tell us about that?
Yeah. I'll say yeah, but. So what I mean by that is I have a theory that priming is crucial for all of us. So also helps for advocates to remember our own priming of becoming available for something. So recently we had Ray on with our advocates, Ray Archuleta. He was talking about planting a seed. And it's so important, instead of trying to be a converter of people's minds, planting a seed is your number one goal. But the thing that always gets included in that is stewarding the matter that is creating the conditions. You know, how are you helping create the conditions so that seed actually is able to take off? Whether that's in farming communities of people who are like, is anyone else around me? Are my peers hating me? Like, do I have support? Or whether it's in policy to give enough of that connection, whether it's in the movement to have enough awareness that the tipping point is reached. You know, like there's so many of these parts of the conditions for the seed that are just crucial. So that priming, why I'm saying that is I grew up in upstate New York. I was homeschooled. I was barefoot for most of the time of my childhood until I was probably 10, running around, being homeschooled, meaning running around in the woods, pretty much gardening with my mom, composting, eating tons of food from a backyard garden, like tons of food. Like it was quite abundant of where food came from in the garden wise. So when I was in high school, I had a phenomenal biology teacher. I think 11th or 12th grade of high school, I was involved with an AP bio class that was doing studies with Cornell University, studying mycorrhizal fungi's connection to oak groves, meaning that finding out for the first time it was the mycorrhizal fungi that were helping the oak groves protect themselves from airborne viruses. So I was just taking soil samples, but I was getting these updates from the PhD students who were kind of finding this out during that time. So I was a super lover of biology. Didn't have time to necessarily become a total geek about it then, but I loved it. I just thought it was just incredible, all these connections and the biology stuff. So why I'm saying that is I've been an activist in my whole life. And so, and I've been an avid reader and updating myself. So when I was 28, 27, whenever this occurred for me, I'd been an activist in civil rights, environmental rights, human stuff, political stuff. But the moment for me when I heard Graham say talk for 4 hours, so Ryland Engelhart, the other co-founder, had seen Graham talk in New Zealand, been blown away, like, wait, there's an option here. And Ryland at this time is an owner of Cafe Gratitude, running organic restaurants, thinking like, I should have known this stuff. How did I not know? He's so excited. He convinces Graham to come to Los Angeles to speak to us. And him and I set up an auditorium. I brought my sound system. We got it all ready because I was a touring musician at this time, doing a lot of activist work, but mostly that was my business, was being a musician, touring around and performing. And so we host Graham to do this talk. And 4 hours later, I'm just like, how did I not know? grew up gardening, grew up, like took biology, but like getting the extent of this, the moment for me was so utterly paradigm shifting that in 4 hours, like I walked out of there saying, if this is all true, this is the biggest solution opportunity that humanity has. Because at that point for me, it was like every other option was just going off the cliff a little bit slower. Like that's how the trajectory was so far off, so far to degradation, so much CO2, such an anomaly case if we happen to stop producing CO2 emissions. Like everything was just like, no, we're not going to make it really. And when this came around, it was like, if we are going to make it, this is the option here.
Yeah.
Because it's the only valid way that we're actually going to not only restore balance, but repair the damage. And that repair the damage thing became more and more at the core of what drove me into this. So first it was like, place to store carbon, great. Oh my gosh, I had never known. Then on the heels of that was that this repair the damage, the regeneration idea sank in for me about a year into this. But before that, I was like talking sustainable. How do we put back what we take out? I like still caught in the sustainable mind frame.
Yeah.
And it took connecting with these indigenous wisdom holders and these pioneers, these folks who are innovators in holistic management, and these scientists to be like, oh my God, the regeneration capacity for humans to steward is to help, meaning we're so degraded, you're not going to get, antelope out there being like, let's regenerate this. It's totally degraded. Like they can't, they're in their own situation. So we're the only species that can make a decision to regenerate Earth right now, because we've degraded it so much that we're the only ones who can consciously make that decision and actually steward right now most of the land that's so degraded, and it's such a brittle environment that leaving it by itself conservation isn't going to work in 80% of our degraded landscapes. They're on a perpetual decline. So it's, that's what my passion is now, is people getting regeneration. So our mission at Kiss the Ground is people are awakened to the possibilities of regeneration.
Yeah,
that was a probably longer answer than you were looking for, but that's
it's a beautiful.
That's the big stuff.
Well, thanks, Vinny, and I appreciate you taking the time to connect with that part of your story, because it's deeply meaningful, not just to you, but to many, many others who are awakening to that same noticing, right? Like, how did I not know this? Even people who have been farming regeneratively forever, or who've had their hands in the ground and they had no idea the impact that they were having. And for a long time, like when I grew up, when I was younger, organics was not something that was cool. It just wasn't. And it's something that we had to advocate for, and to to help people understand the value. And so now to have that whole shift to the appreciation of soil regeneration and soil health is exciting, and to have people like yourself awaken to that and to share it through film and through speaking and through courses and through music is it's needed. We can't have too much of it, because there's so much work to be done.
Yeah, that's where yes. And that was that moment I had a couple years ago, was like looking around the space and looking around the conferences and seeing the same faces presenting and doing this stuff, and being like, if I know most of the people going around the world right now expressing this idea, something is dramatically wrong. I'm not talking about not knowing more people, because I have 5,000 Facebook friends, but I don't know most of them. But I knew most of the people who were talking about regenerative agriculture and soil health.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is insanity. If we think we're going to get anywhere and envelop the world in a conscious idea, we got to get millions, if not thousands, of advocates out there who can articulate this message and bring their life into this movement, whether
Yeah.
it's, advertising a regenerative farm so they have a leg up, or doing local policy at the council level, or making your parks not use insecticides anymore, or, starting a farm, whatever it is. I don't care what it is, but are you empowered to take it on? Because freaking A, we need you. And that's where it's
Yes.
just like, yeah. So that's why I started soil advocate training, was that whatever I can do to multiply the factor of force, let's hand off
You're on
whatever
it.
assets we've made, whatever, hundreds of hours I've made for, presentation material, like
Mhm.
use it. Don't suffer and not present because you suck at making slideshows. Jeez,
Yes, yes, yes. Get your hands dirty, do it.
Yeah.
What excites you the most about the work that you're doing and regeneration
Immediately
and
what
the
comes,
possibilities? Sorry to
yeah.
cut you off, but and the possibilities.
Well, it's like what excites me the most is that an idea whose time has come is really, pardon my language, really freaking fun to be involved in.
Mm-hmm.
Where like to experience that phenomenon of like regeneration's idea has come in terms of its time, and that means that inevitably the priming is just going to continue, and the awakening potential, it's like popcorn. It's like, yeah, we've got like 20 kernels pop, but like all those other kernels are just waiting for a little more heat, and we just got to give them a little more heat. And that's so exciting to see, what was caused in me actually being caused in other people. And that was the original hope. Is Ryland and I sat there and we were like, if this has happened to us, we're pretty passionate people, but there are millions and billions of passionate people out there, arguably, right? So if this happens to other people, what's the potential for humanity? And that's really what we got. And what excites me the most is that it's happening. Like, it's just happening, and seeing it happen and being a part of it. And we're, one small little part, but it's happening. And I hope everyone's encouraged by that it's happening, because I know plenty of the folks who felt like they struck out and gave up because but they were the ones who started. Like you created
That's
this
right.
foundation for us to stand on. By the way, it's working. And hopefully that seeing that, oftentimes giving life back to those folks who built the foundation of it, and giving them credit, and like being like, look, your foundation's working, and welcome back, let's party again. And so seeing that, and then seeing I think on the policy front, because I've always been interested in policy. I run our policy department, and seeing what it means when you're watching an entire movement like this start to raise the tide. To see that is inevitable, that when you raise the tide collectively, grassroots wise, consciousness starts to shift, and then the position they're in as representatives calls for them to represent this idea. And we're seeing the tone, the language from 4 or 5 years ago just dramatically changed. The meeting yesterday with the chairman of the House Ag Committee, that conversation between Democrats and Republicans, even though some of the stuff was just ludicrous, obviously, but the general consensus was pretty amazing. Like, that farming can be this huge solution, that there's resilience that we can build tremendously, that there's opportunity for so much more, so we just got to keep going on. So I'm genuinely optimistic, while also understanding that the rates of degradation are still as high as they've ever been in most places around the world. We've slowed it up in a few places, but we're still losing 4 tons of topsoil per acre per year in the United States on ag land. So
yeah, it's staggering. What do you feel like are your biggest hurdles or biggest obstacles right now, or are maybe yours and ours regeneratively?
I think
and
part
in the
of
space.
I think part of it is people holding on to crumbs and not going for the big, feeling deserving, like collectively and individually. Like, it's really weird to go from like scarcity mode into abundant mode, but we have to. Like, the the mind exercise that I think all of us collectively in this movement have to go through is like, this is the big idea that's coming. It is in 2025, or I think we're going to get there before. So I declared a couple years ago, by 2025, this must be the most and the biggest solution that's talked about for climate, for water, for refugee, for food security, for like, this is going to be the big idea, land regeneration through agriculture and other ecosystem restoration. Like, this is going to be it.
I
And I think it's
100%
going to
agree.
happen before 2025, which is epic.
Mm,
But that means something really important, that whether it's technology investment, whether it's these kind of things we see over there of like, yeah, there's billions of dollars being moved around here and there, but like, if this is the movement, those billions of dollars need to be going to this movement. And that means, especially on the ecosystem restoration side, for new jobs,
yeah.
getting people out there helping to restore land, and getting scientists and technology and people employed in new positions to be land regenerators, because the farms are limited in a lot of cases to farmers, and
Yeah.
that we don't want to just create all new farmland, because a lot of these are fragile environments that need stewardship, ecosystem restoration tactics that can be deployed as they were in the past in history. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers the question, but
It
that's
does. Tell me a little bit more about holding on to crumbs and that mind shift. Like what does that look like, and how do we step into that shift?
if I had that answer, it's why I'm saying it is I know that it's one of my biggest hurdles as a founder, co-founder of an organization. I know it's one of my biggest struggles to own the necessity. Money is going to be what makes you be able to have more employees, have more staff to be able to do things. There's only a certain capacity that we each have. I hit my limit.
Yeah.
For the last month, I was at my way past my limit, burnout beyond belief. But it's like,
Yeah.
if I was thinking and strategizing a year out with not thinking of, oh, how am I going to do this on my own? How am I going to do this with one employee? How am I going to do this with 1.5 employees? That's a really limiting thing. So I think we have to coach each other, get coaching, like, because there are
Yes.
people who are getting money who have projects that are sillier. I don't want to say other mean words about it, but just dramatically less important for the world
Yeah.
than what we're doing on education, awareness building, actual projects, asking for government funding stuff. It's just, so I don't know what the answer is to get there, but I know we have to, and I'm working on it myself, and we're working on it as an organization, and we encourage everyone to do it right now.
That's
Get
exciting.
worth coaching, I guess. I don't know how
Yes.
it works, but like, God darn it, we need to have deployment of capital going towards this. And yeah, so
We do, Finny, and I think you named that so well, and that's why I circled back to that piece when you said we've got to stop holding on to the crumbs, or something like that. And there are two things that came to me. One was the disconnect and the dissension that has been present in the regenerative space, and how I think Kiss the Ground did a really good job of illuminating and amplifying and uplifting all the different pieces around regeneration. And I
and
have
we
deep
missed a
gratitude.
bunch. We missed a
Yeah,
bunch,
well,
that was just,
yeah, possibly. And how do you include them? The thing is
we dedicate
illuminating.
for really quick on that. You just
Yeah.
dedicate, oh my gosh, okay, yep. There were things that got left on the cutting room floor that, in terms of representation, inclusion and stuff. And you just say, we got to do better. You got to do the work to do better. You can't just say it, you got to actually start doing it. And that takes focus and dedication and awareness of what things are easy and what things are going to be slightly uncomfortable. But once you do it a
Yeah,
little bit, it's no longer uncomfortable. So that's
that's
just a
right.
quick anecdote on pushing into inclusion isn't always easy.
Yeah, I appreciate you presencing that. And then the other piece I wanted to reflect back to you is even though it might feel like um, there's walls up in terms of that abundance factor, what it feels like to other people who are experiencing Kiss the Ground is it feels like you're lighting candles like all over the world, millions and millions of candles all over the world. And it feels like, like sleeping trees or sleeping flowers are also being woken up, and it's happening exponentially, Finian. So I want you, when you're feeling like you don't know how it's going to happen, I just want you to see and be really connected with the massive shift that is happening globally, and the bright shining light that Kiss the Ground is, and the impact that it is having, and the conversations that you are having, and all the possibilities and all the people coming to you in partnership, in finances, in conversations, in stewardship, in teaching, in content. Like, it's just rolling out the carpet.
Thanks for saying that. Much appreciated. And I just wanted to present this bigger pie phenomenon where that's where everyone building awareness, and that's what I teach in soil advocate training, is no matter where you are, whether you're a practitioner or someone who's doing policy work or whatever, you're involved in a business that's going into regenerative, each of us can contribute to the awareness bubble factor. Because so many movements, as you've probably seen, pigeonhole themselves and start to fizzle out because they don't continue and build on the potential of awareness spreading. So they never hit critical mass. And that's where we're getting there closer and closer to there. But each and every one on the, start with awareness, you get your actions and your outcomes. There's more in between there, but those are the kind of the big blocks. But in the awareness side, like everyone can continue, no matter where they are on that trajectory, to feed
That's
back
right.
to that, so that builds. And what that does is really grow the pie. And one thing that Kiss the Ground is dedicated to building out, we have a new version coming, but it's called Find Your Path. And it's the quick take action on our website right now. We're building it out to a much more integrated interface and wizard, so that when you or someone from Chile or Philippines or Australia clicks on it and they put their interest boxes, click, oh, I like composting, I like activism, I like this, and then they do their background, like, oh, I'm in university, oh, I'm into finance, oh, and then they do where they're from. Immediately, in under a minute or less, they're getting 4 to 5 things that are related to them that aren't just Kiss the Ground. Yeah, they might get soil advocate training from Kiss the Ground if that pertains to their interest. But what we're designing essentially is an abundance flow through, so that we're accelerating flow. If you think about like a receiver of, okay, tons of things are coming through this, okay, this ball that's coming, oh, here comes a ball, go out this way. Oh, now you're working with ecosystem restoration camps in Portugal. Great. We're not going to force you into Kiss the Ground stuff if that's not what you're up for doing right now. There's hundreds of ways to kiss the ground. It's really the essence of that from the Rumi quote. So it's just like, get people on their way and make the connections so that valuable recommendations are coming to people from their interest, and don't hold on to people who aren't supposed to be or wanting to be doing the work that you're providing the service for. Where it matches up, great, but otherwise pass them to someone else who's more connected to their precise desire. So
Yeah, that's so true. And that's part of what's really exciting about the conversations that are happening right now in the regenerative space, which I'm finding, is that people are wanting to share. They are wanting to connect, just connect. It doesn't matter if you're growing a sprouts on your windowsill because that's the only space that you have, or if you have a 40,000 acre farm and you're wanting to make a difference. And in regeneration, people are wanting to amplify that and connect with it.
I think each of us can look more at the critical importance of widening the net that we're casting. In my experience, I've now trained about 3,000 people have gone through soil advocate training. And we have more graduates coming right now through this current cohort. But it's totally fine if someone goes through my advocacy program, because I'm going on a route of and these are just theories of change. You can go with like, here's my one student. I'm going to download it. They're going to become, the kind of the more apprentice style, or like, this is my apprentice, right? That's one style. And then there's like, okay, there's a vacancy of an idea in the world. And I have an ability, because I've been just amazingly able to connect as a storyteller, being able to connect to the leaders and thought leaders of this movement. Like, they've opened themselves to me to suck in their information. So now I'm sitting here with like, I can either invest that into one person, or I can say, here it is, thousands of people. Let me get 100,000 people, or let me try for 200,000 people to get this information. And then from there, I have a pretty high degree of certainty, based on 3,000 people I've trained, that there'll be 5 to 10% of those people that are just unbelievable advocates who otherwise might never have gone down this path to make their life all about this. And if we do that conversion in the next 2 years, all of a sudden we have 200,000, 5% of that, whatever that is, you have an amount of advocates, super advocates out there. Because again, there's going to be 25 percentile, like, you keep going up of like, what are they doing? Yeah, everyone's doing something, but like, holy moly, this person over here just made this government in Belize do whatever. And so that's what I'm really looking at in the theory of change right now. And that's where you have to choose one of your theories of change. And Kiss the Ground saying, we're not the trainers. We're not training farmers. We're saying we can help you with this idea. We can push you on your way. So in terms of giving people access and creating advocates, that's what I've looked at, is that, best thing I think I can do is help create idea content and give away empowerment to new advocates.
Yeah, I love that. It's spreading the love. And what are the next steps? What are the next steps for you and Kiss the Ground? What are you?
We're gearing up for a huge campaign, next level campaign for us, called Regenerate America, based on Regenerate Earth, which is we're basically saying, what about Regenerate Earth? Let's get all the brilliant collaborators on board, but we're going to take on, to the best of our ability, with partners and key groups in the U.S., we're going to take on one that's U.S. focused, Regenerate America, and say, okay, we're going policy on this one. We're going a big football toss to the Farm Bill, for Farm Bill reformation, going to say this next Farm Bill shall be vastly different and vastly more supportive of regenerative human health, healthy food access for low-income people across the board. Just like what is really changing our food bill, because that's really what the Farm Bill is, to support the regeneration of our country and the people in it, including the human health side. So that's really what we're looking at for a major initiative campaign in the coming years, and starting it off this year with some pretty big pushes for signatures. And yeah, so and then of course, following up with the policy stuff that just happened yesterday.
Yes.
For me, the next month will be a lot of that, setting up farm visits. So if you have anyone who's interested in helping with finding and matching farm visits for members, especially of the House Ag Committee or Senate committees on agriculture, getting them to visit regenerative farms. And so that's the policy department will be coordinating this effort before the big campaign, so that all these folks feel invited and included to participate.
That's awesome. Do you know specifically what areas that you are looking for people?
Yeah, we have a whole spreadsheet. So right now we're mostly targeting members of the ag committees. So we have spreadsheets of people who are interested. We encourage them to join soil advocate training so they can, be more tenacious advocates. But if they don't want to, they can just connect me personally if they want to get involved with connecting with a member of the House Ag Committee. And so the next couple months we'll be inviting them for the spring tours of these regenerative farms.
But I meant farmers, like I meant.
Volunteer farm.
I meant farmers. Places? Yeah, that's what I heard you say.
Well, we need both. We need, we're going to be working with the regenerative Regeneration International's map as a starting
Awesome.
point for all those farmers to just say, okay, but at the end of the day, it's always a match. I'm going to be helping out, people like you be like, no, for this congressperson, nah, that's not the right
No.
match. Sorry.
That's
We
right.
really, that's such a big part of it.
It
What's
is.
this going to feel like when they get to that farm? Are they going to get it? Are they going to feel like they are invited? These are all
Yeah.
factors
Yeah.
that we as advocates have to play this
Yeah. Honoring
connector
them.
role. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Awesome. So how can I support the Regenerate Earth besides some connections like that?
Well, definitely that's the starting point, I would say. So the
Mm-hmm.
community that you're in, the organic food community, this is a chance for these people who've been the OGs, like I said before, to step up and step in and say, please have them come visit and see what's happened here compared to the neighbors, and see what's happened here compared to the community, because we've done this for the past 20 years or 10 years or 5 years or 50 years, whatever. So yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Totally. Thanks for the questions.